how do you know it wasn't just a regular powerful bomb? Like, how do you know by watching a bomb go off? But how do you know it's nuclear?
Welcome to Celeb Wave. And today we're counting down our top 10 picks for the most heated moments on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Bend matter and create nuclear weapons and fly robots to Mars and take pictures and send them back to us. Like, the shit that we can do is off the charts.
Get ready for some heart-pounding action, because the Joe Rogan Experience has given us plenty of thrilling moments.
People over with metal tanks and guns and shoot people and protect people from the other people that are shooting people and get involved in all these fucking crazy things.
Today, we're going to talk about the most intense and fiery conversations that have happened on the podcast.
There's so many reboots, and there's so many, like, how many fucking Spider-Mans have there been? How many Hulks have there been?
Yep.
There's only one Iron Man, though. You got that.
Thus far. What year is it?
Get the fuck out of here.
What do you make of each side's argument? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10, Eddie Bravo. Eddie Bravo, a cool martial arts teacher, often hangs out on the Joe Rogan Experience. He's famous for his wild conspiracy theories, and this time he's talking about nuclear bombs.
Because Eddie's saying the reason why they threaten nuclear bombs is to keep everyone kind of chill.
But maybe you could do that with just regular conventional bombs. Maybe that's like 10.
Joe Rogan and their buddy Brendan Schaub join in, and they explore this wild idea that nukes might not even be real. Like, no one's really used one before. Eddie throws out some super strange questions, and they all start talking together.
What I'm saying is, I don't know.
Right. Well, you should find out.
I don't know. This
is a nuclear bomb.
Okay.
I mean, the scientists all agree there's no conspiracy. The conspiracy is amongst idiots.
Rogan gets a bit annoyed and tells Eddie he's just wasting time with this argument. Not just wasting his time, he wastes everyone's time, and Eddie was quick to react that it doesn't matter, as it is his time that gets wasted.
What do you care about me wasting my time?
Well,
I could waste my time on whatever. Why are you so concerned? Why are you so concerned about me wasting my time?
Because you waste our time too.
Why? It's an interesting conversation.
About whether or not nuclear
we don't have
bombs
to talk
are real.
about
You don't want
this.
answers, though.
We don't have to talk about this.
Why don't you want to find the answer to it? Why do you just want to question it?
Even the usually calm Jamie Vernon gets in on it and starts arguing with Eddie. It's like a big argument party, and even though it's a bit awkward, it's actually really entertaining to watch.
And then Joe's point, why bring it to us and question it?
I just don't trust anything I can't verify for myself.
But you
don't have to get mad because of that. Why are you mad because of that? You're getting mad right now because I don't trust shit from the government.
Number 9, Joey Diaz.
I feel the energy is different, but guess what, G?
What?
It don't apply to me.
The funny stand-up comedian who often hangs out with Joe Rogan on his show. So, Rogan brings up this big topic about jokes that might ruffle some feathers during the whole Me Too movement thing.
Especially the Me Too movement, so people are more cautious about saying controversial jokes now. Do you feel that?
He turns to Joey and asks if he's seen any changes in the comedy world because of it. Well, let me tell you, Joey gets fired up real quick. His face turns all red, and he starts defending the old days when comedians had lots of freedom to be wild and crazy.
It don't apply to me. Doesn't apply to me, and it's never going to apply to me.
He says we can't just stop using certain edgy words now, because he grew up when those words were everywhere.
You use certain words. There's parts, and I get that. This is a business.
Right.
This is a business, and I got mouths to feed.
Joey's super passionate about what he does, and he's not apologizing for it to anyone. He's all about being true to himself.
When I'm at the ha-ha,
you got to let it fly.
I'm going to let it fly.
You got to let it fly.
Number 8, Jack Dorsey, Vijay, Agadi, and Tim Pool.
To my left, Tim Pool. Everybody knows and loves him. Vijay, what is it? How do I pronounce your last name?
Vijay Agadi.
Vijay, not Vijay. Vijay.
Yes.
Vijay.
Agadi.
And your position at Twitter is?
I lead trust and safety, legal, and public policy.
That's a lot. And Jack Dorsey, ladies and gentlemen.
Dorsey's attitude is usually tamed, unlike Rogan's, but Dorsey would surprise everyone on the show by his way of responses. Rogan would start by apologizing for his first meeting with Dorsey on the show. He was accused for not pressing in on Dorsey and not being too confrontational in his approach.
There was a lot of people that were upset that there were some issues that we didn't discuss in depth enough, or they felt that I didn't press you enough.
Dorsey was there with the then Twitter chief legal officer, Vijay.
It doesn't matter if one person reports it or 10,000 people report it. Like, we're going to review the reports and we're going to make an assessment, and we're never going to kick someone off the platform finally and forever without a person taking a look and making sure that it's an actual violation.
And answering questions from anti-corporate politician Tim Pool.
But you've got people on YouTube who are being deranked for certain beliefs about certain health issues that I don't agree with. One of the risks then is we're coming towards a position where people think some ideas are better than others, therefore, as a company, we're going to restrict access to certain information.
It went on for 3 long hours. Pool went on to say that Twitter uses some of its regulations to discriminate against conservatives. And there's more. Number 7, Kurt Metzger.
Wait. I'm not going to them. They're coming to me.
Kurt Metzger, who works for Amy Schumer, was a guest on the show. Amy Schumer was accused of stealing some works of other comedians, and yes, it was what caused a heated argument.
What jokes are you talking? I'm talking about sketches people claimed were taken, which is nonsense.
Rogan probed him, asking him whether or not there wasn't plagiarist works or not, but Metzger was firm to his position, saying there was no way his company stole any work. He also blamed himself for having responded to such accusations, and it went on and on.
It doesn't matter. That's what you have to say. That's not what you're saying.
I did say that.
No.
But that's not a joke, thievery.
Let's dive into number 6, Mikhaila Peterson.
A bit of effort to make yourself go exercise, but a lot of people who are overweight and sick don't have enough energy to do that.
Joe Rogan isn't shy when it comes to health and exercise talks. He's really into it.
But I think some of them just don't have discipline. There's an issue with that as well.
Peterson, she's a podcaster and the daughter of famous psychologist Jordan Peterson.
Was a very sick individual.
You're in a different case. You have real, legitimate, diagnosed physical issues.
She says overweight folks lack energy for exercise. Joe totally disagrees. He gets all fired up and talks a lot about discipline and sticking to routines. He thinks people who skip exercise just make excuses.
I'm talking about the average fat fuck who's just sitting around being lazy.
They argued for a while, but guess what? Joe and Peterson never agreed on this one. Number 5, Bryan Callen.
If somebody tried to bully me, I'll show up at your fucking house and kill you.
This funny guy, Bryan Callen, is buddies with Joe Rogan, but they argue like an old married couple sometimes. They start talking about mean kids from school.
So many guys that let you say shit like that, and then it becomes like vernacular. It becomes like a part of the way you talk.
This is what I do. Brian, look at me.
All those people that I know.
And Callen says some pretty bold stuff about how he'd handle those situations. But guess what? Rogan and Brendan Schaub team up against him and call out his tough guy act.
Shit, and then you said stupid
shit, and it was okay. If somebody fucks with me, bro, look at how what do you have to say to me?
They sort of tell him to stop being so dramatic. Then Rogan jokes that Callen's been hanging out with the wrong crowd, which messes up his thinking. It's really funny to watch them poke holes in Callen's big ego. Number 4, Joe Rogan hosts neuroscientist Andrew Hill.
That's the goal in Krav Maga is to kill you or to kill your opponent as quickly as possible.
Andrew Hill enters the scene, and soon enough, the podcast turns into a fiery debate. They're arguing about Aikido, this Japanese martial art that's practiced all around the globe.
Actual grappling against I just think as far as an actual martial art, it's one of the least effective in real practice.
Rogan thinks it's not practical at all and would rather go for wrestling with raw moves. Their personalities clash and opinions collide. And that's where they leave it hanging.
Sure, but controlling yourself is probably the higher focus on Aikido, I would say.
I think you're fucking buying some mumbo jumbo, pal.
Number 3, Nick DiPaolo.
Moscow is not illegal. Ought to have business. And what did he lie about specifically?
A comedian who leans conservative and is known for being outspoken on politics.
I like to know the definition of a lie. If he misstates something.
Do you think he does it accidentally?
He's been on famous shows like The Howard Stern Show and runs his own podcast called The Nick DiPaolo Show. So, on the Joe Rogan Experience, he and Rogan got into a big argument about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
You think it's all lies? The
Not all of it. He's a bullshitter for sure.
Yes.
But so to take him, Joe, would you argue that they haven't been trying to take him down since he came down that fucking escalator?
Rogan said Trump told a lot of lies, but DiPaolo disagreed. He kind of made fun of sources like the Washington Post to prove his point. DiPaolo believed the media twisted Trump's words and seemed annoyed that Rogan had his own definition of a lie.
The fucking social media tilts left, so...
Yes, social media does. We're not talking about pulling up social media pages.
What are you pulling up?
I don't know.
Washington Post?
I'm not a Trump scholar.
DiPaolo also asked Rogan what he meant by something called whataboutism, and things got even hotter in their argument.
Was inaccurate.
Do you know what a whataboutism is?
A whataboutism?
Yeah, when someone talks about something and instead of refuting it with facts, they go, yeah, well, what about Hillary? What about Bill? Bill did it too. What about this? What about that?
You're going to tell me?
Whataboutism.
That's what I just committed?
That was a whataboutism. Because you were saying that Hillary lied.
But
Number 2, Jamie Kilstein. A comedian who was on Rogan's show. They began chatting about whether making jokes about sexual assaults was okay. This soon turned into a big argument about whether assault or murder is the worst crime. Rogan said murder is the worst, but Kilstein thought there's a big stigma around being assaulted, and that it leaves a deep scar. Number 1, Milo Yiannopoulos.
But you especially need religion to be a good artist.
He's a really controversial guy nowadays. Milo is far right and used to run Breitbart News. He got banned from a bunch of social media places like Twitter and Facebook because of his strong opinions. He even left Breitbart because he talked about some really sensitive stuff like adults and kids being together.
It has bad consequences in society. That
Well,
it's
it
an
can
anachronism
have
from the
bad
past.
consequences.
What you shouldn't do is ridicule and dismiss, sort of the Jewish zombie shit, right? You're just doing it to be outrageous. You're just doing it to provoke.
So when he talked to Rogan, things got confrontational. They also argued about Christianity since Milo calls himself a Catholic. Yep, they didn't agree on religion either.
You're religious?
Yeah, well, I mean, so my matrilineally speaking, I'm Jewish, but I was raised Catholic.
What does that mean? Are you practicing in the middle of ketamine?
No,
and
I'm perfect.
12-hour fuck sessions?
Yeah, yes. Well,
that's not very religious,
Rich
dude.
older men in dresses, what's not to love?
As Rogan goes ahead to probe him the more on that asking questions which Milo reacts to in a passive manner.
20s, he taught me to give such good head,
It is in the nature of Joe Rogan to be confrontational, and it makes it work as an analyst. You would not get into the depth of your guests if you keep a cool, calm face all the time, else the supposed controversies or issues might not come to light or be put to bed if necessary. No doubt watching Joe Rogan's podcast is a real treat.
A lot of people haven't heard it, and you're blurting it out like that someone's arguing you in the room.
It's full of unexpected drama you won't find anywhere else. He keeps inviting really important guests like artists and politicians. It's a blast.
It took a turn for the stoner.
We've got more fun videos like this to brighten your day. Stay tuned for another video on our channel.
Civil rights marches, that was in the 60s, right?